All right, guys, this week we're going to be looking at solving rational equations. So I'm going to try something a little different this week. I'm going to make a short lesson video and then a separate video for extra examples. So here we go, real quick, lesson video. So there's a few steps involved in solving rational equations. First step, you got to factor everything, numerator, denominator, factor it out. And then your next step better be figure out what you can't use for x. Remember, your denominator can never equal 0, so whatever makes your denominator 0 can't be a possible solution. So that'll give you your domain. On very rare occasions, you might get lucky that something cancels out, but check your domain before you cancel stuff. After that, you're going to determine your LCD, least common denominator. Basically, you just take all the different denominators and you shove them together. So if you have the same denominator multiple times, like x minus 3 in this one, x minus 3 in this one, x minus 3 in this one, and then maybe the other stuff multiplied to it, you only use that x minus 3 once. Then you take each and every term and multiply it by your LCD. Don't actually multiply it out, just write it next to it. Then you're going to cancel stuff. And that's what this next step is, multiply whatever hasn't canceled, and then, after cancel first and then multiply it out. Combine your like terms, and you'll be left with some kind of equation. Could be quadratic, linear, a very simple cubic, quartic, quintic, whatever. But if it's not linear or quadratic, it'll be a really easy one. And then whatever you got, solve it. If you got linear, just get x on one side, numbers on the other. If you got a quadratic, move everything to one side. Really, if you have anything other than a linear, move everything to one side, make it equal 0. Now, after you've done all the work, you found your answers, you're not done. You got to check for extraneous roots. Those are answers you get that aren't part of your domain. Remember, in step 2, you had to find what's in your domain. So if you get one of your answers that you know from step 2 you can't have, you can't use it. So it's possible for there to be no solution, or it could be just one solution, or it could not have any extraneous roots. So that's the steps. I'm going to go through and show you how to work this one on the assignment. So let's look at an example. So p over p minus 2. I'm just going to, I have that equation bar open already. Let me close it out. Make myself a little bigger for you. So if you need to get the equation bar, you go to insert and then equation. So I'm going to make a fraction. If you look, it's 1, 2, 3, 4th little operation box here. Also, make sure your font size is at least 18, otherwise it'll be too tiny to really see. P minus 2. Formatting doesn't matter too much. I like to put a space between those. It doesn't have to be. Plus 2 equals 8. That's not an 8. Right arrow key works nicely there. Over. I'm going to go ahead and factor that. If the difference of squares, p minus 2. Oops. P plus 2. Okay. Now, we're on a computer, so you know what you can do? Copy, paste. I'm going to copy that. That's the first step, factor. What's the next step? Check for what your domain cannot be. So p cannot be. If I look right here, what makes this 0? 2. If I look right here, what makes this 0? There's nothing there. If I look right here, what makes this 0? 2. If I look right here, what makes this 0? Negative 2. So you have to check each and every term in your denominator. That's why we factor it first. Makes it a lot easier. After that, we're going to find our LCD. Well, I'm going to start with writing down this denominator. No denominator here. Hey, look, I already have it written right here. I'm not going to duplicate it. So you don't write it twice. I already have p minus 2. I don't need to have it again. Now, if this is another p minus 2, like if I had p minus 2 squared or something, then I'd have to take how many ever the most I have. If I had 2 of them, I'd take 2 of them. If I had 3 of them, I'd take 3 of them. Whatever. In this case, I only have 1. I do have this p plus 2. And put that. Paste it from earlier. You can use your mouse shortcuts, control, click, whatever the paste option is.
Command V is pasting on Mac, Control V on computers, Windows computers. What am I doing? So this is it. Same thing here. I need to multiply by my LCD. So I pasted it. I'm going to copy and paste my LCD. Make sure I'm to the left of that. Notice how I don't see my cursor, or I see my cursor left of that. That's where you want it. Now it looks really long, but guess what? You didn't have to type all that. Copy and paste. Lovely. Copy that whole thing and paste it. And now we're going to cancel. Usually I'd be canceling this on paper. So I'd draw a line to that, draw a line to that. But we're not on paper, and this is inside of an equation, so it doesn't play very nicely. So the p minus 2 and the p minus 2 cancel unless it's p here. If you want to see how I do it on paper, we'll do that in the example video in a minute. Nothing cancels here. Both of these are going to cancel on this one. So I'm going to be left with just an 8. So did some cancellation. Now I need to use my distributor property. I'm going to copy this new line. Just copy and paste. P times P is P squared. So I'm going to change that. Formatting doesn't work inside of these guys. So I'm going to have to insert, same place I go to a fraction, here's a little exponent thing. P squared plus 2P. There, distributed. This, I already know what that's going to be. It's going to be that, right? So I'm just going to write that. Save yourself some brain power. I already have this factored right here. So no sense in redoing the work. That's just going to be P squared minus 4 times 2. I'm going to do that in a whole nother step. I'm not going to try and do more than one step at a time. Might confuse people. That's going to be, oops, I don't want to do that. Control or command or control Z undoes, command or control Y redoes. 2, 8. I just should do that too. Distributed. Okay. Now I'm actually going to do this outside of an equation just to, because I don't have much to use out of copying this. P squared plus 2P squared is 3P squared. That's the wrong one. Squared. Command dot is your superscript, or you can go to format, text, superscript. And then 2P over here, I'm going to just keep that there. No more P's, done with P squared. I have -8. Look and see what you have. This is the quadratic, right? You need everything on one side. If it's linear, you can get the x's on one, the constants on the other, but it's quadratic, so a -8 minus another 8 is -16. That's going to equal 0. That's what you want. You want to equal 0. From here, you have choices. Quadratic formula, factoring with all those different possibilities, AC shortcut, whatever. Use your calculator. You have a calculator, use it. Graphing calculators, you could just graph it and check for solutions. If you have this particular calculator that we use at school, you're going to go to mode 5, 3. Type those in. 3, 2. I'm typing in just the coefficients, but include those signs. So this is going to be a -16. I get 2, I get -8/3. So you could write that down. I'm going to show you factoring just because, well, some people might not have a calculator, they might want to factor. Quadratic formula works fine. If you're doing the quadratic formula, don't show me. Just show me where your transfers are. Don't show me quadratic formula. That's just crazy mess. Sorry. Factoring. I know I need a 3P and a P. Let's see, I need a 2. So, how about if I make a 6 and an 8? That'll make a 2 because I'm subtracting. I need the 2 to be a positive. So I need that 8 to be positive. I think this will work. Let me check. 8P, 6 minus 6P is 2P. Good, factor done. So now you take each term and set it equal to 0. So I'm going to put the first one equal to 0, tab a couple times, p minus 2 equals 0. Then I'm going to solve these. So you can solve it instantly. It's -8/3. P equals new equation, fraction, -8/3. Again, I'm going to tab a couple times to get under here. P equals 2. And I'm done, right? Wrong. What was that last step? Check for extraneous roots. We can't have 2. P cannot be 2 or -2. So I'm going to strike through that. If you go to format text, you'll see your shortcut. Mine's Command-Shift-X. That's what I'm actually going to use. You could just click that button though, Command-Shift-X for me. Now, if you do have an equation, it's not going to work. So what I also want to do after I strike through is just copy and paste my final answer. So you have these 2 answers, and then my next one, I have this one answer. So that's telling me that's my only answer. That's it. It's done. This is the end of the video. Bye-bye.